So Caleb, what motivates you?
Why don't you go first?
I just
Since you're
asked
so
you.
well prepared.
Nope. This is one of my tactics.
No. I don't know. Motivation is an interesting thing. Do you have motivation? Motivation to do what?
Do you have it? That's an interesting way of saying it. As a possession thing, do you have motivation?
Yeah. Like, do you
Because
have...
then people also ask, are you motivated? Which is more stays with you.
I mean, what gives you drive? What made you start wanting to do things? Because I feel like
start to do things, Caleb.
in a like in a natural state, you would like. I think about for normally the first 2 weeks of summer, I'm not motivated to do anything. Right? I just lie around, just do the first thing that comes to my mind, which is most of the time watching YouTube or sleep.
Why is that?
I don't know. And I feel like the reason that I do that specifically for the first 2 weeks of my summer break is kind of to relax from the rest of the year where I've been pushing myself, I guess, motivating myself to do things that I feel are important, things that I think I need to do. Why I do these things? Because I think that's what I need to do to be successful. And the reason I do it at the times that I do it is because I don't know how long I have to achieve my goals for that time. Like if I set a goal for my university career life or whatever to be, let's say, I don't know, best in the class, then I would want to do whatever I can to meet that.
And the second you set that goal, it sets a time frame, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like a race against time almost.
But as to the reason why that specific goal, I really don't know. See, the thing is, we're now entering this phase of like transitioning from doing what your parents tell you to do to doing what you want to do. Yeah. I think I'm still in that area of doing what my parents would want me to do, you know? Like, why do I want to be the best? Why don't I just want to be good enough? Why do I want to be? Because that's what my parents have been telling me to do for the past 18 years of my life. This is the first year, I guess, or second year of my life where I'm kind of in control, but I'm still not to grasp. So that's why my motivation is still what my parents want. And transitioning away from that is a little bit scary because what do I want, you know? Yeah. Like, if it's up to me right now, I guess I would just not do anything, right? Because it feels like I don't have a sense of motivation for myself. Yeah. It's more of a motivation
like a bit of a gap, right?
Yeah.
So would it be right in saying that, like, it's also a little bit complicated because likely the goals that you do have for yourself that you'll eventually come to realize will align a little bit to some extent with the ones your parents have essentially set out for you, which is why it's difficult to now think, hey, what is really my goals and all of that, and it's easier to probably not think about it.
Yeah. But then, like, outside of that, like, I go to the gym and I don't know why I go to the gym.
You've been going for long too.
I've been going for a while now.
Yeah.
Over a year. Like when I went with a friend, and then after they asked me what motivates me, I thought I could answer it, but then I couldn't. I thought it was the discipline factor of wanting to have something I have, like, such as my body, that I'm in full control over. But it's not quite that. It's not quite the shallow reason of wanting to look fit or be fit. Like, I play football because I find it fun. And that's could be seen as enough. Why do I go to the gym? I don't know. So the next time I went to the gym, during one of my rests, I just looked around and it looked so dull. It was just everybody mindlessly pushing, pulling, just moving weight. And I was like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Like, what is the point? Everybody's just doing the same thing. It looked kind of robotic. Because I never really thought about why I was going to the gym. And that wasn't something that my parents made me want to do. So why do I go to the gym? What motivates me? I don't know.
Did it bother you that you didn't know what motivated you? Like, was it important? Did you think it was important for you to figure out what motivates you?
Yeah, I think it's important to know why you do things and not just do them mindlessly. And yeah, it was a little scary, the fact that I don't know why I'm going to gym. And it's made me a little bit more inconsistent than I would say last year around this time. I was going like literally almost every day, 4 or 5 days a week.
But it was more mindless.
Yeah, that's the thing. But now that I thought about it and I can't come up with an answer of why I go or why I went in the first place. Yeah, I'm just a little bit less willing to go. The fact that I don't know what my motivation is has decreased my motivation to go. Scary thoughts.
I agree with the idea that it's always better to know what you're doing as you're doing it than not knowing. Even if the reason is it's just for fun, I think that's a great reason. Why exactly I think it's better, I'm not entirely sure yet, but I think it's one of those intuitive things that I agree with. The second time you went to the gym where everyone just looked sort of mindless, do you think it was a little bit of like a depressive thought that you saw everyone looking a bit mindless?
I didn't attach an emotion to the thought. If anything, it just lost. Is the word I would use. I don't know. Like whenever I think back at it, like it feels like one of those AI generated videos of just like slow motion people in the background doing like weird things that when you look closely it doesn't look quite right. That's how I picture it when I look back at it now. It's like it was just everyone just looked so lost because like it's a weight, you're picking it up, you're putting it down. Like why are we doing this? You know, I was like, and I felt part of that, and that was, I guess, a little bit concerning.
I don't know if you remember last year, there was a day where you used to often bring your gym bag to school because I think you'd go to the gym on the way home.
Yeah.
I think. And then once you were headed to the gym, and by this point we realized you went like quite a few times a week, and I wasn't going at the time, and I remember our friends were just thinking, you know, you're going a lot. This is a lot of your time.
Yeah.
And then we asked you like, why do you go to the gym or something along those lines? Do you remember what you said?
No.
You said, otherwise I'll be sad. And I took you seriously.
Oh.
And then you just stood up and you left.
Otherwise, I'll be sad. I probably was going through something at the time. Like there was something going on, and it was like because I go to the gym, I like don't think about anything else, right? You're just exactly mindlessly pulling weight, and for me, that was like an escape from thinking of the other things that were going on in my life, and so at that time, yes. I went to the gym otherwise I wouldn't be sad, because then I would just be by myself alone with my thoughts thinking about stuff, whereas when I'm at the gym I'm not thinking about it. So in that sense I guess you could say your motivation for things change. But when you have no motivation, I think it gets very scary, very, very scary.
You said at the beginning a lot of your motivation goes towards you, and you said something about success. I think because you want to be successful, so I suppose it matters like what you think of as successful, right? Because I think success is a bit of an umbrella term. Yeah. In the question, what motivates you would be what's under this umbrella. So, what is it for you?
That's another thing. My definition of success, I think, will change as I get older.
Yeah.
Like at this age, okay, my definition of success, having a job by the time I'm done with uni, living on my own comfortably, and all the things I do now are towards that. But by the time I'm 30, 40, it'll probably shift away from that towards more family-oriented things, like having kids or being a good dad or whatever. And I guess for me, the motivation to meet this success right now is the fact that it might change. I don't know when it's going to change. Whatever life situation that would cause it to change, I don't know when that's going to happen. And so I want to get to that goal as quickly as possible. The reason why these are my goals, or like financial freedom, whatever, living on my own, all these, is probably to do with society. I feel like that's just a universal understanding of what success is. If you're able to live on your own without help from your parents, this, that, and the third. And so, yeah, that's my definition of success right now, which could change.
But it's interesting that you see, because you have quite a big time element to it that I don't have, and I can touch a bit more about later. But it's interesting that you see it as you want to achieve your goals before the time that your motivations change. Because I'm sure there will be people that are like, they'll just get as far as they will, and then when they change because then it no longer matters to you. Do you know why you see it as such a big urge, I suppose, to achieve it before you're uninterested in it? Do you understand?
I don't know. I think it's just...
Is it like the competitive part of you?
I guess you could say so. Like, it's like if you could picture, in those horror movies where, like, the wall behind you is coming forward and you need to keep going forward. And it's not about going as far as you can go. It's about getting to the end to survive, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's kind of that survival thing where if I don't reach that goal, like, I haven't survived or haven't succeeded. I haven't survived this period of my life because I didn't get to the end. I only went as far as I could go, and now the situation has changed. And I feel like a little part of me is always going to be thinking, okay, I wish I had completed what I wanted to do, It's just I think there's a satisfaction element to it as well. And maybe
very much so. The
whole point of this whole goal chasing thing is that you never reach it, because if you reach it, then what? If you reach it before your focus changes, then what, Like, what else is there left to do? So maybe the whole part of this game is the fun of it, the chase. The chase is more exciting than it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
I get the thing about the degree of satisfaction that you can achieve through completing a goal or reaching a goal. I get that a lot, and it's always much less than what you build it up to be. But nonetheless, it's that, and it's quite like a fulfilling feeling, and it's definitely something that I chased as well. It's actually interesting that you bring up that it's never the end. It reminded me of this thing I read as research in high school, where I think hopefully I'm not wrong, but Aristotle had said that pure happiness, like absolute happiness, is unattainable because of the same ideas that, if you're not going to be sad, if you're going to be happy all the time, then you're not going to be happy.
I think it's also back to the motivation thing, it's like a treadmill you're on. You don't want to fall off the treadmill, so your only option is to keep going on the treadmill, right?
Yeah.
And you think, okay, I'm going to stop after this certain amount of time, but then you never stop, you just keep going, because if you stop, you're going to fall off the treadmill, right? I think that's also a big motivation, just the fear of falling off the treadmill, Like, life is linear, right? It just goes in one... Well, life is not linear. There are ups and downs, but whatever. Like,
each person's path is one.
Yes, there's
path.
one path. It's always going forward.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's not going to wait for you until you feel the need to kind of be a couple of steps ahead so that you can, keep it at bay. Because if that motivation's out there and you fall behind, then you're 30, you're 25. And like I say, that window of you meeting these goals has passed, and you're like, oh, I missed that. But then there's this thing where when you talk to older people, you're like, you should live your life. You shouldn't try to plan things. You shouldn't be hasty. You should just live your life and see what life gives you, what comes for it. But to me, that doesn't seem correct or true. I feel like they say that because they didn't do that, but then them them having a plan or whatever and trying to stick to that plan led them to where they are now. And oftentimes it's a relatively good, respectable position. But the fact that they recommend to live your life or whatever, it just seems like something they wanted to do or they still want to do. Maybe that's them not meeting their goals at that specific point in time and them wanting to go back, and that's something I don't want to ever feel. And so that's what motivates me to get to what I need to get to.
I think also a part of it is that maybe what they're saying isn't so much, hey, this is what you should be doing at this age, but rather this is what I wish I had known at that age, that I had the maturity and the realizations to do, so that I wouldn't be under this. I imagine I would be stress or pressure for something else in that time, because that's probably what they think was wasted, right? That they spent so much time thinking about other things. So if we think about that thought, you mentioned that there was an element of falling behind, which I want to point out because I had a little realization about this, I suppose, a little while ago, where I thought like, oh, I can never actually be behind because I'm on my own path. It's gonna sound cheesy, but it's like I'm on my own path, so, and I'm not in competition with anyone else because this is just my journey. So yeah, I can compare myself to the people around me, and then it almost feels like, okay, shoot, I'm falling behind or I'm going ahead or something. But you can never actually fall behind, right?
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I feel
has that ever occurred to you?
Not until now, if I'm being honest. But it feels more like not me comparing myself to others, but you can feel the kind of the pressure of others comparing themselves to you.
You can feel some sense. Like I get this all came from the sense that I felt like I was falling behind, and then I was just constantly trying to not be behind.
I don't know, there's some societal pressure I feel, and maybe I shouldn't, or I should not care about it, but it's something that, because like I feel like, you set the pace. If you're doing a long run, a marathon, and you're the pace setter, if you kind of like slow down a little bit, like I guess people think you're vulnerable, so they try to overtake you to get to the end before you or whatever. I feel like maybe there's something related to that's going on. Maybe that's a testament to my competitive nature, I guess, of wanting to stay ahead. But yeah, I don't think I necessarily compare myself, or I try to catch myself whenever I feel like I'm doing that. But it's more just a pressure of watching eyes, not just my parents, family, friends, random people. Not random people. I don't care about random people.
This might be like a slightly controversial thought or something, but I've always thought that, and I still do think that there's an element to being stressed that pushes me in a way that I like, that I want. There's an element to comparing myself to other people that I think is beneficial for me in terms of, again, the things I'm trying to achieve. So to some extent, I know that I won't be behind on my own journey, but there is a pace that I am trying to keep at. And some of it is based on the people around me and the people I respect and things like that. And I know it's probably a little bit unhealthy to something, but to some extent, but I think as long as I have my mind in the right place about it, and I'm a little more aware of what's going on, that it is still nonetheless a good motivator. I think it's, if we're young and we're trying to work, then I think it's good that I have a little bit of stress. I don't want to be in this constant state of probably leisure. I think I'm a different person like that. So I think that's something that I was trying to battle with.
Do you think it's an intrinsic motivation?
I think a lot of what we're speaking about is intrinsic motivation.
Because you talk about being on your own path.
Yeah.
And if what motivates you to keep going on the path? Why don't you just stop? You're on your own path. You can go at your own pace. So why don't you just stop for a while? Why do you keep going? Why do you keep walking forward?
Well, that's a question that I imagined what this topic was about. Given all these things, given all the fact that, I'm on my own path, I need to compare myself to others, and all of these things, it's like, why do I keep doing it? That I cannot exactly answer just yet. But I think the best the best motivation for that is probably intrinsic motivation, right? Something that you want to do for a, I don't know, for its own reason, and not trying to get something, I suppose, like tangible out of it, right? I think a lot of intrinsic motivation leads to abstract things, but that I don't quite know yet. I would say that I'm the same as you in terms of wanting to be successful and what I define as success, but there's a lot more of the element like happiness attached to it. I could almost say that what motivates me is my own happiness, but in the past few months I've realized that that's sort of a weak argument in some sense. There's very little and very much I can do to be happy, and it's not physical enough to me and enough to be to sustain me towards that goal. So that's why I'm also tying it to success. But I know that in success, in a successful self, I'm happy there too. So.
But isn't your happiness based heavily on other people? We're social creatures. Like you can't be happy being alone, right? Like your happiness, in a way, kind of it needs to be seen or experienced by others. That's why people post. I guess that's why people post things on social media, like when they go on a trip. They're happy about it, but they feel the need to post it to share with everybody else. So, in that sense, there's still that society-related motivation to be happy.
Well, a lot of what I chase is to feel content. And I used to tie contentment with fulfillment. And it would be like, I imagine what people get out of smoking would be the fulfillment will bring me these small dopamine bursts that would make me feel content, but wouldn't last very long. So I chase the fulfillment. But now I'm trying to, take a step back, break it down, which means things are a lot more complicated at this time. That's what's going on there. It's interesting that you said that you take the first 2 weeks of summer to just do nothing, and because you've considered that you've been working for a long time, even though everything that you're working on is building you towards what you want, right? It's still nonetheless seen as work, because what you want in quotation marks. But remember we talked about what hobbies you have. And I had a mini spiral over this because I was like, oh my god, I think I'm just constantly working and I don't know what I do. I take breaks, and then you pointed out really that taking breaks wasn't necessarily the same as having fun or resting. It was just, it is resting, but it wasn't a hobby. And then we went on a bit of a hobby search because of that.
Did you find a hobby?
No.
Oh my god.
Well, because I prioritize other things for the time being. I balance things a bit out of my head. But I bring this up because I don't think you were, in the first 2 weeks of summer, that you're like slacking off from your normal state of being. I think it was more you're giving your mind a break from thinking about what motivates me, what do I want, and all of that. Even though it all goes towards your own personal well-being and what serves you. It's just, hey, I'm gonna put my mind on pause for a little bit for 2 weeks and do whatever comes to my mind first, as a start, as opposed to someone else who's getting home from work and saying, oh, I've been on my feet all day and I need to watch 2 hours of Netflix.
I don't know. It's the thing is, once you get in that state of mind, once I get in that state of mind, once I know that 2 weeks is up, it's very hard to start again with that, to find that motivation to
first one, right? The first step to break your ass, isn't it?
Because then I feel like it's kind of a feedback loop where once you find that first initial spark of motivation, like you say, you get that little dopamine boost. Cut that out. Dopamine boost. Of fulfillment or contentment, and then
you're writing it out as a last.
Right? And so then now your motivation is for the next one and for the next one, for the next one. I feel like that's what happened. Thinking back, that's what happened with the gym, where I went to the gym for a little bit. Like my initial motivation, I can't remember right now, but that when I first got my dopamine hit of like, okay, I feel good, I think I look good, I'm comfortable with my body, and then you start chasing that again and again and again to reach the next peak in your body transformation or development. And maybe the reason why I'm now finding the motivation hard is because it's been such a long time between peaks.
Yeah.
That it's like I got lost somewhere and the motivation is gone. I need to kickstart it again.
Yeah.
Which is scary because what then if that happens in something more long-term life related? What if halfway through your university journey you lose that motivation of wanting to be a contributing member of society in capitalist terms? What do you do then? You drop out, and then how do you get that motivation again? I think that's what happens a lot with people. I know a lot of friends who dropped out of uni with a plan of going back after they found themselves, but then they never really do, right? You never really find that motivation again, and then you're just at home with the parents. It's just scary.
I think people tie it a lot with what is their purpose in life, and that's when they go down the rabbit hole. But something about this idea of motivation, for me, it seems a little bit simpler than that, where it's not that serious. And I know that everything I'm doing, there's some underlying motivation that's keeping it all together. That's not what my life purpose is. And I think that's sort of what keeps me going, I suppose, that I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Which is why there are these peaks, but even at your lowest, you're like, there's something in common with all of these things that are happening, and that's why I keep going, right? I watched this video, I think it was a TED Talk, where at some point the speaker had brought up one of our biggest challenges now as a youth, because she was actually commenting on how the elderly are always just like, oh, live your life when you're young, that's what you're supposed to do and whatnot. That what ends up happening is that when you're in your 20s, and well, you're not even there yet, the biggest challenge that people face is that they're constantly at war with themselves in their mind. And I think there's validity to that because of the idea that we want to take breaks from our own mind, because we know that we're always trying to figure this stuff out. So then we look for these breaks that are hard to probably define and explain to other people, and then we do it. And it's not that anything else in our life is slipping, but it's just like, okay, I want this right now. And I think to some extent it is about being at war with yourself, right? And it's like having a break and all that, which I thought summed up what I was thinking really well. What do you think?
So then, but it's also, I guess this also brings up the thing of discipline, is that if you're always find an inconvenience and you just take a break, does that question your discipline? Are you disciplined enough to be motivated? Does discipline and motivation go together? If you always respond to your mental or bodily whims, and then is that really you? Are you still really motivated to do what you need to do if whenever you are at war with yourself, you just, I guess, give up for a little while and then start the fight back up later? Because, like you say, it's a constant thing. You're always going to be at war with yourself, so then...
And then people seek, like, solace and peace, which is what they chase and what they imagine. I suppose some sort of happiness and contentment will be is when they're at peace.
But then if taking a break from this train is peace, then haven't you already reached the end? You just take a long break.
Well, for me, it's remember I did speak to you a little bit about this. It's a lot about once I cover my bases, I know I'm capable of a lot more, and everything I do from that point on will be entirely to serve myself. And I know that for a fact. It's a little bit intuitive for me, and so that's what I'm working towards. And for me, one of my big life philosophies, I suppose, is that as long as I'm a little bit better each day than I was the day before, then I'm doing all right. So in terms of this idea of discipline, because wow, discipline was something I rediscovered, like what the term meant, and it struck a chord like deep inside. I keep thinking, I think what I'm trying to do is that I'm building these bases, and the more stable the foundation that I have, the more I can build upon. So there was a point where I reset in a sense to get a good foundation, and now every day, until I can reach that point of peace from the war in my head, I'm just gonna build this foundation, because that's what's going to allow me to do more afterwards. And it's like, yes, when I take a break and I, give in to this wound that I have, it's not great that I'm doing this as much as I do it, but what it does do is it just sets me to what my baseline is, what my foundation that I've established is, and that foundation is a little bit better than the one it was maybe a few months ago. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to maybe go in a little bit of a destructive loop where I'm gonna spiral on YouTube shorts, but I'm not binge eating like bad food for days on end. I'm not destroying my sleep schedule. I'm not giving up on going to the gym. All that still happens because I've got this like foundation, and I'm making sure on all accounts that it's solid before I move on. So then it's like, okay, well, still a little bit better than yesterday, and that's okay. And
so your motivation is to not fall back into old habits, then kind of the reason why you want to be 1% better, or every day, the reason why you want to lay these foundations, that you don't fall back into something that you thought was bad for you.
Yeah, it's also building up a little bit of like, self-trust, and I think if you trust yourself, then it helps you be a little more whole and helps you maybe figure out things that motivate you, and it feels like it's one step closer to something, but one step closer.
But you don't know what, you just know that you just have to keep going forward.
Yeah, I think it's like you at the gym, because you say that like, when you're at the gym, you can just mindlessly do the exercise. I'm not at that point. I've only been going for a few months, so I can't mindlessly work out at the gym because I will not have the proper form or structure or any of that. So it's like that. It's like I'm just building it up to a point where it's muscle memory, and then I can focus on other things.
So, but that's a very, don't you think that's very...
What?
Interesting mindset that you're motivated to do all this so that you can do more things. Like your motivation to do so many things that you do right now is so that these things become muscle memory to you and you can do more. Like you're so primed to want to keep doing more. At what point does it stop for you? At what point do you say, okay, I am content?
Well, I will know when it happens, I suppose, hopefully. But at this time, it's like I know that all the things I'm doing, parts of it are feels like labor. Sometimes, sometimes going to the gym, I won't want to go, and I'm still going to go. But other times, it's not like that. And I imagine that once I've reached the point where I want to reach, then I will be in full capability of controlling everything I do to be something that I want. And I think that will be very like liberating and freeing and fun and just satisfying, I think, yeah.
To have self-control, like control everything about yourself. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. I think control is a big thing, and people are trying to figure out what motivates them or what they're trying to do. I think everyone's just to some extent working towards some sort of self-control, because that's stable. Control is stable to some extent. And if you don't have it, then you sort of chase it, which could derail things, could help things. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah.
I understand. So you think your idea is people like to be comfortable and, you know, don't like to be out of their comfort zone. And so in order to be in such a comfort zone where you can stay forever, you have to put yourself outside of that comfort zone for a little bit, or for as long as you think you need to,
and then you can
to
also,
find a wide enough comfort zone to stay in.
And then you can also, you know, at that point, when you explore the, you know, they're like, never stay in your comfort zone, always look for a little bit of discomfort, find the comfort in discomfort, and it'll still be in your power to control how uncomfortable you want to be when you're in a point of discomfort, right? Unlike it is now, when you have to sort of just accept it if you want to achieve what you want in the bigger picture.
It's kind of anti-intuitive, because you want to be in this comfort zone, and you can be in it just by doing nothing, but you want a greater discomfort zone. You want a greater comfort zone, so you seek that discomfort. Yeah. In order to be then comfortable with it. Interesting.
I saw something where they were speaking about motivation, and they were like, you should ask yourself 3 questions. The last one is it worth it?
What is worth it to you?
Worth it. I think that's what ties back to motivation, right? You're motivating yourself for things that you think are worth it, for things that serve you. And that's the bottom line, right? Yeah.
I went bouldering yesterday with a friend.
You did? How was it?
I did.
Are you sore?
Yeah, but the reason I bring it up is, like, I'm very competitive. Yeah. And a lot of the sports that I pick up, squash, paddle, football, I have this motivation to get better, you know. But with bouldering, I did it and I just didn't want to do it again. There are levels. I got to, like, I think the midpoint or whatever. Look, the black ones. I did one red, which was above a purple, which is above a black, but I couldn't do any of the purples. But I could do one red. And I just had no motivation in me to want to come back and try to you know, progress, do a purple, more reds, and then the other colors of the bouldering pyramid or ladder. And now that you bring that up, I didn't find it worth it. But why didn't I find it worth it? If I'm so competitive in nature, shouldn't I naturally want to get better at whatever sport that I play or I put myself in?
I have a theory. But first I want to ask, was it difficult for you to boulder?
The red, yes, but all the other ones were kind of, I guess, normal. Like, they weren't too hard. I felt like I already had the base to do them without too much struggle.
Even though you've never gone bouldering before?
No.
Okay. I think that's sort of like what I'm speaking about with this whole foundations thing, where, you know, you've gone to the gym enough and you're in, like, really good shape to the point where you can go bouldering. And bouldering is not easy. I don't even know entirely what it is, but I just know I think it's quite body weight intensive, right? And you have to be able to hold yourself to a wall. Yeah. That you've built up the foundation that you can actually attack bouldering and have I'm gonna say a more successful start than most beginners do, and proceed at it. But then the thing is, bouldering, I know, takes a certain amount of how should I say it, like, people who boulder work towards probably, like, having a light body weight and probably having, like, the strength that, like, calisthenics do and all of that, right? Because that's what you're aiming for. And then you hit a bit of a plateau where you met the boundary of not having that, and that's where you're like, okay, this takes other work to get good at, and maybe you did, like, a little cost analysis in your head, and you're like, this is not worth it. And maybe that's why the other sports you picked up really easily, because again, you've got this whole foundation and the hand-eye coordination where once you pick it up and in a very short amount of time you become really good at it, to a point where you can feel it intuitively, that with a little bit of work and a little bit of seeing better people play and playing with maybe a little bit better people, that you will get a lot better at it exponentially, to a point where you're going to be as good as someone who has been playing for maybe a few years or even better. So it's like, okay, what motivates me is that I'm aiming to build that foundation because my gym journey, I'm nowhere near that. I know for a fact, right now, this about me, that I'm trying really hard to do a pull-up, which I'm sure you can imagine how it might translate to bouldering, that I'm not going to get anywhere in bouldering, right? So it's like, that's why I'm putting in this work now. What do you think?
Okay, that is interesting. That, I think,
That's my theory.
is a good theory. Yeah, I co-sign.
And it's satisfying to pick up a sport and suddenly find out that you're kind of good at it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I watched you play squash for the first time and now you're better than me, which is, a bit of a insult, I suppose, because I've been playing it I learned it in grade 8, so...
But then this is also what I mean with like the social aspect of success or whatever, of why we're motivated, is that not necessarily like me getting compliments for the things I do, but it's like, I guess, moments like this where it's like, oh, like now that you make me think about it, it's like, okay, I do have this foundation that I've been working so hard for, like to be able to like go out of my comfort zone and do bouldering, try bouldering once, like do all these other things, which now that you put it into perspective, okay, like I am glad that I pushed myself to do this. Now I have my dopamine hit, so I'm probably going to continue pushing in those aspects and other aspects, so then I can have my next dopamine hit.
It's fun being competitive if you have a higher rate of
success.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. But
Damn.
then can you think back to the times when you were in the process of going to the gym and getting stronger? And I mean, you weren't like one of those people that was like overweight and you had to go through this whole transformation, right?
I was just really skinny.
You're average and then you're
I was a skinny boy.
Yeah.
I started during the quarantine, like 90% of the world.
Do you remember what that time was like in terms of motivation? And at that time you probably saw how much work would need to happen and that it would take a while and you'd have to stick to it and be really disciplined and committed.
Yeah. At that point, I was still on social media, and I guess just seeing people way older than me just looking jacked, and for some reason made me feel bad. I don't know why. It just made me feel bad for being a skinny 16-year-old boy, obviously. But that was kind of the motivation to like want to work out and whatever. And I was embarrassed about it. I know like I would lock my room and like work out like in my room. And then if my mom tried to open or knock the door, I like pretend like, oh, I was doing something else. Like, why are you sweating? Oh, nothing. It's just hot. Like, why did I do that? I don't know. But then when I was able to do a pistol squat without like leaning against something or like fall into a chair, that was that dopamine hit that I got. I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. Well, like I'm glad that I put in this X amount of work and saw this benefit. It was kind of like with studying and getting a good grade, except the reward wasn't coming from my parents' approval. It was just coming from within. And that was kind of why I guess I started going to the gym. Like you say, when you hit that plateau, it's so hard to find the motivation. And I just hit that plateau very early with bouldering, which I think I'm hitting now with going to the gym. Although I am starting to see it pick back up, which is a good thing. So yeah, we're just all mindlessly fiending for dopamine.
Isn't it also satisfying to have that sort of control over your body, that the fact that this is work you've put in and you can see its results very clearly and you can see it translating through these new things you're trying out in these like sports and other activities, and it's like this was all within your control, and you only get more out of it and better experiences and happier stuff out of it. So this is what I mean.
But it's also those times where the process gets a little dark.
Yeah.
In a sense, like when you, like you said, when you don't want to do it, or when like it's impeding on other things. If you're spending all your time in your room in the library studying, you lose touch with friends, right? How do you keep that motivation when you're not reaping any benefits? Instead, you're just collecting all the losses or the negative repercussions of your intrinsic motivation to do things.
Well, I think as important as I'm gonna call it like external motivation, even though it's still intrinsic motivation, is I think a big part of it is correcting your mindset as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you saying now, you know, if you at what you are now were to be 16 again and your mom opened the door and you're sweaty, you would probably just tell her like, oh, I was working out, right? And it's like at some point in this time you developed a mindset where if you're in the same position again, you wouldn't be embarrassed and you wouldn't try to hide it. So I think that's part of it. It's that part of your growth is to develop a better mindset that works for you, that figures yourself out. So that even if you're at a place that's dark or you know, you're in a bit of a loop again and you're destructive again, that the foundation you've built, even in just your mindset, the way you think about things, has developed where you can be like that, but it still won't be as bad as it could be maybe previously. What do you think?
I understand the idea. I think it's a good one. Like, yeah, it makes sense that like having a better mindset, but
I don't know if it's even called a mindset. For me, it's like the way you think about things, the definitions you have to words and values you hold to or whatnot. What?
Your mindset.
That is mindset, right?
I think so.
Okay, good. I don't know, so many words nowadays have been thrown around so much in like social media and stuff that I really, really question the connotations people have attached to it, and yeah, I feel the need to redefine things.
Yeah, and I think this idea of I guess having the right mindset, or you know, knowing what you want and all that is what led me to delete a lot of the social media I have. Is that I felt like I was starting to want the same mindset or you know, be like the people that I see online. Like, just the fact that I was 16 years old comparing myself to a 20-something year, 27, 8-year-old man who is probably spent way more time in the gym and feeling bad about myself and whatnot is kind of, I don't know, I'm going this, I forgot my point, but yeah, that idea of like not being original, or like not having thoughts of your own, everything being echoed to your, like being whispered into your ears by social media, into you, and thinking it's your own with it not really being your own. I think, yeah, that's why I deleted it, to have my own motivation to do things that I want to do. I mean, it's still like there, like the fact that I've deleted social media doesn't mean that, you know, my environment, the internet, the world around me isn't directly influencing what I find the motivation to do, or why I have motivation to do certain things. But for me, deleting social media mitigated that feeling of this isn't really my own thoughts or purpose or means of fulfillment, right? So. And
I think what goes hand in hand with the idea of correcting your mindset is to figure out doing things that serve you, and I think that's a huge idea. You know, you deleted social media because it served you, and I think it applies like everywhere, far and wide. You know, even if you can't figure out exactly what the thing is you want, you will sort of know in everything that you're doing whether this serves you or not, and just start like filtering that out as a step, and then probably also will help figure out what motivates you to see like, oh, what is it that you're filtering and why, and yeah.
Okay, so in the end, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
The need to pee.
Okay.